Yeah, you know what time it is. How y'all doing? It's that time. We got to talk about it. Welcome to Smoke, Drink, and Vibe, the podcast. How we doing out there today? Doing pretty good? Hope so. Hope so. Got a lot to talk about, man. We're going to try to keep this thing about an hour or less. Hopefully, I won't be long-winded like a preacher, so we're going to be all right. There's a couple of topics I want to talk about. First of all, how was everybody's week? Okay, let me know in the comments section how everybody's week was. And I had a good week. I had a really good week. It was trying. It was tested my patience. It did everything. Okay, it did everything. That's what weeks do. Okay, but we gonna get into it. We're not gonna waste too much time. And y'all like that new intro? Was that new intro dope? Yeah. Okay. All right. Hope it came off pretty good. We got a dope outro for you. Cigar of the day. All right. Sun-grown. It's called Flor de las Antillas. I don't know what it means. But don't hold that against me. Okay. Got some good cognac Cavassier. I ain't doing it up too much. I'm just trying to take it easy. Give me a little drink on. Because we got some stuff to talk about. It's real in the field. Okay. And what I want to talk about is marriage for Black men. All right. Dating for Black men. All right. And we're going to talk about the update on the Drake versus everybody beef. All right. That's pretty good. I like that. All right. Let's get to it. Thank y'all for coming in, man. Y'all looking so good. Showing up for everybody. I'm going to put this first comment up. Or I'm going to put this first question up. All right. And it has to deal with a lot. All right. It has to deal with a lot that we're facing as Black men in today's society when it comes to marriage. Because a lot of women, okay, a lot of Black women and women in general are saying that men don't want to get married. Black men don't want to get married. So the question is, as you can see below, does the modern Black man want to be married? Why or why not? They used to say, I don't know. They used to say, what does marriage benefit a man today? Right? What does it benefit a man today to be married? Right? If she leaves, she gets half unless a prenup is signed. And even then, the prenup can be challenged, right? In a court of law, you got a good lawyer. The prenup can be challenged, right? If she leaves, she most likely gets half. If you stay with her in about 7 to 9 states, up to 7 plus years is called common law marriage, right? And even then, she can go for half, right? So what is it that men benefit? In divorces, most cases, almost 95% of the cases, the woman takes the children, right? The man's put on child support, so forth and so forth, right? Not to mention, a lot of us have seen different kinds of variations of marriage that probably scared the shit out of us, which didn't look too good and didn't allow us to be married, right? So what's the point of marriage? Somebody tell me, what's the point of marriage? What's the point of, going in, being married and doing, oh, that's a replay. What's the point of marriage? Somebody tell me. I think marriage is still sacred to the average Black man. Statistics show that Black men are still getting married at a rate that's very, very, very promising. If you want to look at the statistics of Black men getting married in America, right? But let's say that we believe what the other side believes, and black men are not getting married. They're not committing. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Right? What's the point? Right? They don't see a point in it. There's no real advantage in the modern black man's thought process that marriage is such a solid thing, right? You may say, if you're a woman, you may say, oh, companionship. You may say, love and all these other abstract ideas. But the modern man has seen what divorce does to families. The modern man has seen what bad marriages that end in divorce does to families. The modern man has seen not too many good examples of marriage, right? Unless it's grandma or grandpa. And even then, when you get to talking to them, sometimes you realize that they just tolerate each other, right? They're not really in love. They got married and learned to love each other along the way, right? That's pretty much what that is. All right. But what's the advantage of being married as a black man in today's time? And I'm sorry, ladies, right now, I know there's not a ladies on here. This is supposed to be a man show. But ladies, if you do watch this, understand that they do not see the advantage. They do not see where it benefits them to be married. That's just what it is. They see all the horror stories just in the dating aspect, which is another topic we'll talk on in a few minutes. But the statistics show them, and what they see in their micro universe and macro universe, meaning their surrounding cities or cities that they live in, is that marriage is not as prevalent and is not as happy for men as they claim to be. It's just not. It's just not. It's just, there's no, and you can say, well, he just wants to be lonely. He's afraid of commitment. No, he's afraid of divorce, honey. He's afraid of divorce, right? He's afraid that at the whim, right, that some of these modern women are presenting their emotions to the world and to men, which is on a whim. They change on a whim, right? There's no consistency. There's no stability. There's no straight line thought process. It's a straight line and it zigzags to here and there, right? So on a whim, they will change their mind. The modern man has seen this, all right? They will change their mind. At least that's what they're thinking, because that's what's being presented. The modern man is not going to change his mind. He wants to get married, but the modern woman, he feels, will change her mind. And when she changes her mind, it's going to cost him more than he wants to pay, right? Because what does he have to pay? Child support, right? Alimony in some cases, right? And these child support checks, they've been getting ridiculous, right? For some people. There's no reason, unless you're just trying to supplement his income, which that's basically what it is. But you're not supposed to get the whole income. You're supposed to get a certain percentage to supplement the income, because the rest is up to you. However, some of these child support payments are ridiculous. The man has no way to live after he pays child support. And the modern man knows he just does not get to see his children as much as he pays for child support, right? He also knows there's a strong possibility that the modern woman is not using all of his money for their children, okay? So he's like, what's the purpose of getting married? We get divorced, she takes my money. She takes my house, she takes my car, she takes some of the stuff that she wants to take just to be petty. What's the purpose of getting married, right? What is the real purpose of getting married for modern men? And to some modern men, there is no real purpose. There is no real benefit, right? Modern men believe in love. They believe in the abstract things that the modern woman is telling them, but that's where it stops, right? And they're not afraid of commitment. They're afraid of divorce. They're afraid of what happens to them because studies and what they've seen in the court system says that divorce does not favor the man. It rarely favors the man, right? And that's what it is. That's exactly why a lot of modern men choose not to be married, right? I see we got some people in here. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Corey Smith. Let me tell you about Corey Smith. Corey Smith is a dangerous individual on that bass guitar, okay? Dangerous individual, underrated, should have been, rock star status, but he chose a family route. And I don't blame him for that because he's raised two fine young men along with his beautiful wife. Shout out to the Mrs. Smith. But that guy's dangerous on that bass. Okay. He can not play that bass for years, pick it up out the closet, blow the dust off, and still dust your ass in a bass off. I don't know if a bass off is a real thing. Anyway, so modern men, they don't want to get married. They don't want to get married because they're afraid of divorce. But in secret, in actuality, they do want to get married. They want to find love, happiness, because they still believe that it exists, right? The modern Black man still believes love, happiness, and everything else exist. They just see the end goal, right? They see the possible ending if this thing crashes and burns. So what do I say to the modern man who still wants to get married? Choose wisely, right? Choose wisely. Choose your mate wisely. Vet your mate. Vet that person, especially if you're thinking about putting a ring on it. Okay? You got to vet that person. You can't just go off emotions and say, we're going to get married. It's going to be what it is, blah, blah, blah. And then you find out that this person's crazy and now she's about to take half, right? Corey says, what role does the government have in absent fathers, disregarded husbands? They have a major role. They have a major role, Corey. A major role, right? The government for Black men and for some men in general, just men in general, right? American men, especially the Black men, they pride themselves on not having a strong family because they know the family's the nucleus. They know the family is the nucleus. And with a family comes two incomes in today's time and a better chance of you building generational wealth for your kids, a better chance of you moving to the middle class, a better chance of you being educated and working together to achieve what is called, quote unquote, the American dream. But they're scared of that. So they put programs in place to separate the men from the women, right? And they put them in place because they knew they could cater to the women's psyche. And they knew that the only way it wouldn't work is if some of the men were not all betas. It was like, yeah, I kind of want that government check too. All right, let's pretend like we broke up. Let's pretend like we divorced, right? The government has played a part in the destruction of the middle class and the middle class family. Once you destroy the middle class, you destroy everything that's below that, right? And that's what happens, all right? So modern men, in the midst of all that, they still believe in marriage. My boy said, nobody wants to be alone. Yeah, nobody wants to be alone. I get that. But marriage is a union of two people, right? Their assets, their finances, everything that comes along with signing that piece of paper, signing that document, okay? Sounding that document. That's what marriage is. It's a combining of two corporations, because technically you guys are two separate entity corporations that are combining yourself, your assets and liabilities to become one. right? Notice how you file on your taxes. Married or married filing separately. There's a reason for that. These guys have plotted every step that you think you were going to take. They were behind the push of a man spending a paycheck and a half just for an engagement ring. They were secretly behind that push back in the day. And they were convincing women that if he doesn't spend this much money on an engagement ring, he don't really love you. When in actuality, in that time up to today's time, spending that kind of money mean you had to wait for the engagement ring. Right? You had to wait to get that engagement ring because she was like, 2 carats. What do I look like? Bugs Bunny? I need about 7 or 8. Right? And then traditionally, the woman's, father is supposed to pay for the marriage. But let's be honest, in the Black community, how many fathers are still in the household that'll pay for that marriage? Right? How many fathers in the household that's going to step up and pay for that marriage? Just in a regular average community of men, including every ethnic racial group of men in America, how many men run across women whose fathers are still in the home so they can pay for the marriage if this is based off tradition? Right? So what happens? In today's time, a lot of people pull their assets together and pay for their own wedding, right? It doesn't matter if you're first married, second married, it doesn't matter. A lot of people pull their assets together and pay for their own wedding, right? So, who has to work harder to do that? In his mind, it's the man, right? Because she wants this grand wedding, and he also has to pay for this grand ring, right? So now he's double stressed. I'm not saying he doesn't want to do it, because he wants to please his future wife, his fiance. He wants to give her everything she wants, but he knows that he's stuck between being a yes man and somebody that's just following suit, somebody who's trying to live in reality, right? And that's where those tough conversations come in. You got to have those conversations during the dating phase that are so tough, but not tough to where you're trying to run them off, tough to where you're trying to understand how they think. Because we all know you're meeting the representative, right? You're meeting the representative in the dating phase. And when you meet the representative, it's all love and bubbly feelings and stuff like that. And then you get to certain parts, you've ignored some of the red signs, possibly, depending on what kind of man you are. You ignore the red signs, and then you get to the part where you feel like you want to marry her, and then boom, Bridezilla comes out, and you're surprised, right? Did you have that conversation ahead of time? The boy said, Corey said, there are so many videos gone viral across social media platforms of women outing a man on their first date because he chose not to pay top dollar on the first date. What kind of sense does that make to spend top dollar on the first date? The man needs time to get to know the woman before he decides to spend top dollar on a date. Corey's right. He doesn't just play base, you guys. He's been married for a good while to the same woman. No shade if anybody's been married once or twice. Just saying. But he's right. In today's time, before you even get to the conversation, modern men are facing modern women who feel entitled and want top dollar for the first date. Listen, if you can't take her on a coffee date, that ain't the one you need to date. You guys are exchanging time. That's equal. Okay? On the first date, unless you've really established a long talking process before you met her in person, I'd say maybe like 2 to 3 weeks you guys been talking on the phone, FaceTiming, getting to know each other, then I could possibly see you spending half of top dollar for the first date, right? How many people, modern men in here, really spent top dollar on the first date? I didn't. I'm recently married for the second time, and I didn't spend top dollar for the first date. My wife loves coffee dates. Shout out to Miss April Hughes. Because not only we're grown, but we understand that we're getting to know each other, right? It's a dating phase, trying to figure things out to see what direction we want to go and if this is the person we want to give our exclusive time to. It's a lot of modern women out here looking for free meals. That's just it. That's why they want top dollar for the first date. And then they want you, entitlement. My boy said these women are entitled. Entitlement never leads to happiness. Listen, entitlement never leads to happiness. Corey's right. Entitlement never leads to happiness. And a lot of these modern women who have not put in the work affect the modern women who have put in the work, and they feel entitled. They feel like because I'm fine, I should be able to get top dollar for a date. You want me in my time. You know you like my body. You know you like the way I look. You slid in my DMs, whatever. That's why Drizzle came about on social media, right? If you watch my podcast last Friday, Drizzle came about in contrast to what these women are saying, which is ridiculous. And modern men are using the same verbiage when it comes to the drizzle, and they're simply trolling, and modern women are getting upset about it. They're getting upset about it because modern men are saying, as a trolling joke, hey, I'm not going to get out the house unless you sending me a Cash App or unless you taking me on the first date to somewhere that's not a restaurant chain. Drizzle, right? Don't ask me how my day is going in the morning. You need to be sending me Cash App money, and it need to be $100 or better for lunch and dinner. Drizzle. That's the same thing these modern women have been saying, right? So men are switching it back and saying, we're not going for that. We're going to beat you at your own game, and we're just going to troll just to show you how dumb you sound. Shout out to my boy, Christian. Florida's in the building. Appreciate you tuning in. That's a good guy. I met him on the boat. Met him on a cruise ship, right? Caught that nigga smoking weed the first day. We didn't even take off from the dock. He was just... I was like, on the boat, my guy? We ain't even take off yet. On the boat? You just gonna... You know what I'm saying? What do they call it? The vape pen. You gonna hit it with the vape pen and duck and hide on the boat? That's my boy Christian. He's doing pretty good. Shout out to Christian. But yeah, modern men, for the most part, still want to get married. They're not afraid of marriage, ladies. If you watch this, they're not afraid of marriage. They're afraid of divorce. They don't want to pay extra. Because think about it. They have paid, most likely, helped paid for the wedding. They paid for the ring, right? They've helped pay for the dress, right? They paid for food, catering, guest, location, possibly a honeymoon, combined assets on both. But this is how they look at it. They paid for all these things, or they've helped paid for all these things for you to have your day, that one day, right? After that day is over, then what? A lot of things happen. There's miscommunication. Nobody had the talk. Nobody had, the wherewithal to really go through marriage counseling and take it seriously. And then he gets tired. And now he goes and he wants to talk to you about his issues. And the modern woman says, you're not being man enough. You're not talking to me. You're not doing things that you need to do. I want a divorce, right? Now he's fucked off. because now he has to go stay. He's not going to stay in the house most of the time. And if he does stay in the house, he's going to put up a fight to stay in the house. But for the most part, the modern man or the average man is going to leave the house, get him a place to stay, right? He's going to let her and the kids have the house, and then he's going to fight for custody and fight to keep his sanity, because he knows that there's a likely chance that she's going to get the kids if they have kids. If they don't have kids because they didn't sign a prenup, he knows that there's a likely chance that she's going to get the assets and everything else that comes with it. He's fighting anxiety. He's fighting depression. He's fighting a whole lot of stuff that are seen and unseen that men deal with during the time of divorce. And this woman is out here most likely living her best lie, right? Unless she had a reason for divorce, not negating the women that had a reason for divorce, right? But if she didn't have a reason for divorce and she just on a whim with her emotions decided she wanted divorce, then this man is out here trying to hold it together while worried about his kids, worried about how much this is going to affect him as well as his kids, right? Feeling like a failure, because most men statistically feel like a failure, just like women do. The only difference is most men do not go back and pretend as if nothing's wrong. They wear it on their sleeves. A lot of modern women and women in general, for the most part, are out here saying, oh, he messed up. He did this. It's always him. He made me cheat. Oh my gosh, whatever. Right? It's a lot of different stuff that go on in that man's mind that is not even paid attention to. Right? And she's out here on social media talking trash, trashing this man, saying that he, all kinds of wild shit. And he has to sit there and take it. Then he has to go to court, right? And I don't know if you've ever been through the court process with divorce, but it's not an easy thing. Even when it's easy and step by step, it's not an easy thing mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It drains you, especially as a man who may not have an outlet during this time, right? So now he's got to go to court. What does he do? He don't know the court system. Half of the black men, I would argue, even the ones that don't have jobs or don't have criminal records, they scared to go to court anyway because they got a record. She knows that, right? So now he feels like he can't even fight. He can't even fight for his kids. He can't fight in any shape, form, or fashion. He's just stuck. He knows and he feels like he's about to get fucked. Right? Just like women, real women who feel like they have failed in a marriage, they go through what's called different phases of emotions. Men go through the same thing. The only difference is a lot of men don't either have an echo chamber or they don't have an outlet to where they can offload said emotions during a stressful time like divorce, while she has all her friend girls and everything else like that. Right? Not saying it's a bad thing to have emotional support, right? But men, we tend to not talk about our emotions during times like this because we've been conditioned to think it's a sign of weakness, right? But it's not a sign of weakness. Any man that is in tune with his emotions and has control over it while not denying his emotions exist and has found balance is a strong man, period. Okay? You got to be emotionally aware, emotionally in tune, and emotionally available to go through some of the stuff you're going to go through in life as a man, right? And hopefully we do better jobs as men vetting the woman that we're thinking about giving our last name to, combining our assets to, so forth and so forth, right? There's nothing wrong with if she's not the one, she's not the one. No matter what she says, some women, I'm not going to say a lot of women, but some women only see up to the marriage, right? They only see up to the marriage. That's it. They don't see past the marriage. What up, JP Young? That's the big homie. I should say past master, but we ain't gonna talk about that. It's a good friend of mine. Definitely in the guns. Definitely a good father, black father. Got to give a shout out. You know, Young is doing his thing. Okay. Joffrey doing his thing. Love it. Corey said a lot of women prefer simps, beta males, weak men because they're easily to control. You're right, Corey. A lot of them prefer that. A lot of them prefer that. But then they want the man that's really for them, because the simp and the beta is something that they can toy around with. And once they get tired, like a cat, of toying around with that toy, then they don't want to deal with that toy anymore, because they long for the challenge of a real man, right? That's in their nature. They long for the challenge of a man who can give them substance, a man's man, a blue collar man, a working class man, an educated man, all types of men throughout the spectrum of man and manliness and so forth and so forth. The average or the woman prefers that, right? But here's the question. Why do we have beta and simps? Because there are some people out there that say it ain't tricking if you got it, right? So why do we have betas and simps? Did they not have fathers in the home? Were they not raised correctly? I don't know. But anyway, so the man's going through what he's going through with the divorce proceedings in court. He's already stressed. He's already nervous. He already has to fork over more money while making the transition from being in a 2-parent household income to just his income, right? He's also dealing if there's kids involved, because he feels for his kids and the situation and the transition that they may go through. He feels for them, right? Because he knows there's a possibility that that woman may dangle their kids in front of him as leverage. It happens all the time. We're going to do a podcast about toxic mothers, right? So he's going through all of that. And in the meantime, he's trying to figure out where he went wrong. If he knows where he went wrong, he's trying to figure out how to fix it, so forth and so forth. The whole time his pockets are draining. The entire time. He has no outlet. His pockets are draining. He's away from his kids. His environment has changed. It's probably affected him all the way up to his job and his work performance. And now he's even more embarrassed. And the fact that he doesn't have an outlet makes it even more detrimental for him to have some sort of release, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Right? And what are women doing? They're probably going through the same thing. I'm not going to say that they're not going through the same thing. Women tend to go through the same thing, right? But they're leading with their emotions while men are leading through with logic, navigating their emotions during this divorce process. Women are leading with their emotions, navigating with their logic, right? That's why some of the stuff that happens during divorces doesn't make sense. Again, we're not counting the women who actually need a divorce from like DV or cheating or whatever the case may be. We're not counting those women, right? We're counting the women that really don't have a grounds for divorce. They've changed their mind on a whim, and they've effectively, because of some whatever retarded ass reason, have decided to breaking up the family dynamic just because she's in her feelings. And now the man is suffering, and then the kids are suffering. Divorce for the past, I'd say 5 or 10 years, have been initiated by women. That is a statistical fact. I had to say that with, let me take a drink. That is a statistical fact that women in America have initiated divorce at least 5 to 10 times more than men, right? What does that say? Women want to get married, but they're the ones initiating divorce more than men? But there are no good men to marry. Again, she's leading with her emotions while trying to navigate using logic, right? There's no balance. So I would surmise, before we go on to the next subject, that there's no real benefit for men being married unless some things are in play. And one of those things that are in play is men. You have to have these tough conversations with these ladies. You have to ask them, what are your goals? What are your intentions? How do you plan to, if she has kids, how do you rear your kids? Right? How do you raise your kids? How's your relationship with your ex? Hold them accountable. Don't let them dodge around the questions. And then you as a man, during that time of getting to know, always be honest and upfront, right? Because again, statistics show that most men want to still be married. But we're not doing the work on both sides of the coin, men and women, of vetting the people that we're trying to marry. That's just point blank. Okay? We got to have these tough conversations. It's not going to be all fun and games on this podcast. It's going to be some real tough conversations with men and getting them to a point where they can not only feel like they have an outlet, but have some information that will help them along the way of this thing called life. Okay? All right. So that brings me to the next topic. Is dating American women worth it for the American black man? Because if he doesn't want to get married, does he want to date? Right? And I said it for black men, but I want to pose the question to all men, American men. Is dating the modern woman worth it for the American man? All right? The American modern man. Is it worth dating? Because a lot of women say the dating pool is full of piss. And then men are saying, oh, it's the same thing. It's just dirty, da-da-da-da-da, right? Everybody's having problems dating nowadays. Men blame women, women blame men. It's a lot of stuff going on. My boy says American women are fucked up. That boy Kenny, let me tell you something. Kenny's getting to a point where he can just say whatever he want to say and not give a shit. Right? Shout out to my boy Kenny Cash. Well, yeah, I'd have to agree. But we can't say all women, Kenny. We can't say all women. Some American women are definitely not there, right? Not there. Mr. Davis says those questions are very important. Yes, those questions are very important, right? As a man, you cannot be afraid to ask those kind of questions. You can't ask from a place of malice either. Let me inform you, right? When you're on a date or you're trying to get to know somebody, whether you met them, wherever you met them, and you get a chance to have the first conversation on the phone or whatever the case may be, you can't bombard her with questions like, how many kids you got? What's your body count? How your relationship with your ex-baby daddy? You want to get married? Blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You got to flow some of these questions in there based off the flow of the conversation, but you definitely want to touch on points that are important to you as a man and what you're looking for in a partner that can lead to a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage, right? Because again, a lot of modern men still want to get married. And ladies, if you're in here watching, which you should not be, but it's all good. I appreciate the support. Ladies, you got to have these tough conversations with these men, right? Stop trying to, if you're one of those women, stop trying to get top dollar dates on the first date. Do something that's more realistic, right? Do something more realistic. My man Kenny said, he didn't say all women. He didn't say all. It don't go like that. You're right, Kenny. I definitely appreciate the love and the conversation. But for modern men, is dating worth it in America right now? Is it worth it? I don't think I think it's worth it still, even though I'm recently married. I think it's worth it if certain things are in play, just like the topic we talked about with marriage, right? My boy said it's very hard out here dating. It is hard. right? Because meeting the representative, nobody wants to be authentic anymore, right? On both sides of the coin. You got the few betas and simps out there that don't want to be authentic. They out here tricking. They out here doing stuff that regular modern men or just regular men wouldn't even go for, wouldn't even do. And it's giving the impression to some of these women out here that all men are going to do this. On the flip side of the coin, you got some women out here that don't play by certain rules that make it easier for men, or, they do certain things for men that literally make it think that it's all women out here doing the same thing. Right? Oh, that's the phone ringing. Y'all don't mind that. But however, it's not the case. It's very hard on both sides. Right? Very hard on both sides. Very hard on both sides to date. Right? I think a lot of people, because it's hard on both sides, are choosing to be single. Right? They're choosing just self because it's safe. Nobody wants to put in the work to date. Everybody wants to see the end goal and have all these safety measures in before they date. Now, I get it. To a certain extent, I get it, right? However, it's not feasible, right? A person told me, I was in the academy, the police academy. Yes, I used to be a cop 4 years. A person told me when we were in the academy, he said, if you're not ready to get shot, stabbed, spit on, ridiculed, deal with certain things that come along with the job, that's in and out of the job peripheral, if you don't want to do any of those things, do not be a cop, because it is most likely that you're going to deal or come across those things and then some. And if you don't have the wherewithal to deal with those things, then you shouldn't be a cop. Choose another profession, choose another job, right? I would say the same thing for dating. If you don't want to get lied to, if you don't want to get cheated on, if you don't want to have the possibility of, the worst of the worst happen, or the least of the worst, whatever your red flags and hard stops are, men and women, don't date. Just stay single. Because that's literally what comes along with the job. That's literally what comes along with dating. I'm not saying it comes along with every dating. What I'm saying is it's a possibility if you're not doing what you need to do to vet the people that you want to date. Right? Be honest. Vet the people you need to vet. My boy Kenny said a lot of women be abused mentally from the last relationship and they be mad about the relationship ending. Yeah, that is true. That is very true. Mental abuse, physical abuse, and emotional abuse is real, but it's on both sides of the coins. I would say that both men and women need to heal and process before they go on to the next person if they're dating, right? You need to be single for a while. You need to regroup, go back to the drawing board, whatever the case may be, right? Sounds like a thought. Haven't fully healed from the last relationship. That means run. Listen, there's a lot of men who haven't healed from last relationships that are trying to move on to the last. You can't love nobody more than they love themselves. Right? Think of a cup. If it's already full, you can't pour no more into it. It's just going to overrun. However, if there's a cap on the cup and you can't pour nothing into it at all, whatever you pour on that cap is not going to get into that cup. Think of that cap as that person's self-esteem, about how they feel about themselves. So remember, men, some women, you cannot love anybody more than they love themselves. And you have to see how much they love themselves before they're able to love you. Right? Because loving themselves gives you, the person who wants to love them, the blueprint on how to love them. It gives you an idea at the very least. Right? Boy, Corey said if the first priority in dating is to coast unto something better, you shouldn't be dating. Your happiness is never anyone else's responsibility. Be happy first, then date, because misery is an anchor for any relationship. Listen, but boy, Corey's spitting facts. He's spitting facts. Corey's basically saying, heal yourself first, because people want to hold on to you and they're miserable. Some of y'all in this comment and in the live, y'all think about y'all last relationship, right? Or think about any relationship you've ever had, men and woman, right? Think about how much that person just held on to you, and after you was able to finally get away, right? You realize how miserable that person is. I would surmise that some of you can look back at the person you dated recently, been married to or dated to recently, and still see how miserable they are at this very moment, right? So that lets you know, was it really you? Or was it really them? So dating for the American man, is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it still. Okay. But the problem is the American woman and the American man do not want to put in the work. Some of them, not all of them, some of them. And relationships are work. Marriage is even more work. It is a job. Okay. You being married, or you being in a committed monogamous relationship or polyamorous relationship, whatever the fuck kind of relationship you want to be in, that motherfucker is work. And then when you get married, if you decide to get married, it's even more work. It is a daily grind that you are on when you're in a committed relationship that is supposed to be healthy, and a marriage that is supposed to be healthy. Ask any married person out here. My boy Corey will tell you. My boy Kenny will tell you. I'll tell you, right? Marriage and relationships are work. Even if you vetted that person down to the core, men and women, even if you vetted that person, all the things check off, all the boxes check off, it's still work, right? Because there's clashes of ideology. There's clashes of emotional perception. There's clashes of logic ideology. There's clashes across the board, right? There's clashes everywhere across the board. But if you want the end goal, you got to put in the work. Just like a job, right? You're out there searching for a job. This job you want, and you have to put in the work to get the job. Then you have to put in the work to keep the job. The job changes. You have to adapt with the changes of the job if you want to keep the job. That's how relationships go. That's how marriages go. A lot of people, I would argue some women, they stop at the wedding. They stop at the wedding. Shout out to the homeboy Terrence Bailey. Just pulled in. TB, loan me $1, player. I'm just playing. Loan me $500. I know you got it. Anyway, Terrence Bailey is a good friend of mine. I got a lot of good friends. I try to make do where I can. But we don't want to do the work. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the effort to vet the person that you want to be with so you can minimize the damage that you may take on in putting in the work. Because just like a job, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. You're going to have all kinds of days. That job is like the marriage. Okay. And unfortunately, sometimes like a job, you want to quit that job. You got to put your 2 weeks notice in. Or some people don't. Some people just say it's Friday, fuck this job, y'all won't see me on Monday. You can kind of treat it like that, but with marriage, it's going to cost you a little bit. All right. But in order not to do that, what do you got to do? You got to vet that job. You got to put in time. You got to put in effort. And no matter amount of time that you put in, it doesn't mean that if you feel like you need to leave that job, it doesn't mean you can't leave. Right? There are other jobs out there. As long as you're alive and you're able to work, there's other jobs out there. Same with marriage, same with relationships. If you're needing to leave, right? So is dating American women worth it? What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. That's why cops be abusive as fuck. Up in the mind, they beat the shit out of niggas. Well, yeah, listen, I can go into a whole situation about police, right? Me being ex-law enforcement and all. It was literally something to do until my IT career came about. I used to do security guard work, bodyguard work, certified to do both of those, kind of a family business. I just did what I need to do to put food on the table, right? So no judgment to anybody who has been a cop. Shout out to the good cops that's out there doing their thing, whatever the case may be. But yes, for the most part, or not even for the most part, cops are no more psychologically broken down, rebuilt than any person that's in the military going through basic training. It's literally no different. Literally no different. It's just, can you keep your morale? Can you keep your humanity in that process? Okay. Kenny says, bring it to date. My boy Kenny be talking. Corey says, marriage is work. It takes accountability, owning up to your mistakes, and working to become a better version of yourself. And with the right woman behind you, supporting you and helping you to realize your full potential, the sky's the limit. I tell you, Corey, just open up a church, bro. Just open up a church, because you preaching right now. You going in. Okay? You're definitely right, though. With the right woman behind you, right? Operating in her femininity, balancing logic and emotions, and by balancing, her masculine and feminine energies, right? The right woman behind you, whew, the right woman behind you can make you feel like you can take on. She can make you feel like you're going to say, fuck everybody in the club and then beat everybody ass in the club. That's what the right woman behind you can make you feel like you can do. On the other hand, ladies, the right man behind you can make you feel like you don't need nothing else. It make you feel like you got the biggest pit bull, guard dog, Fabian looking motherfucker in the world, right? He's there for you. He's on top of his game. He's doing what he's doing. Right? You may have your ups and your downs, but yet still, the right man behind you can help you and push you beyond your fullest potentials that you thought you had by yourself. That is correct. Shout out to Brittany. Queen. That's the person I want to debate. Brittany. She's a good person, though. Shout out, Brittany. Okay. But anyway, dating for the modern man, it's still worth it. For the modern woman, it's still worth it. It's just going to take some work. And you guys got to get used to the work. Don't be afraid to put in the work. Okay? I know you've put in the work before. It didn't work out. Man, woman, I get it. You put in the work. You failed on your ass. It was miserable. It just blew up in your face. But maybe it wouldn't have blown up in your face if you had vetted that person a little bit more. Maybe you chose wrong, right? Maybe you chose wrong. A man said, dating American women is worth it. I'm dating a queen right now. Listen, James, I got me a solid woman. And let me give you my testimony. Let me give you my testimony. God has given me a second chance. Okay? I actually had a decent, solid person in my ex-wife. I had a decent, solid person. But like I'm telling you guys, we weren't ready for each other because we didn't do the work that we needed to do on ourselves before we got with each other. That's why it crashed and burned. right? When you spend so much time going into these things and trying to make it work and trying to find yourself when you should have found yourself before you decided to give yourself and your time to that other person. So now that I've had a second chance, I've did the work. I've put in the work. I've put in the blood, sweat, and tears to get things right. I've made the adjustments. I've stretched beyond my perceived boundaries and the man in my thought process. And I've widened my scope of view. And it's allowed me to see the queen and put the ring on the finger of the queen that I have now. Brittany know who I'm talking about. Shout out to April Hughes. She put this big ass rock on my finger. Everybody think it's a football ring. It's not. It's a real. So it's a wedding ring. Some carats on there. Over 3. Some carats on there. She tried to outdo me. That's what it was. Because I put some carats on her finger. But she tried to outdo me. And she did. I don't give a shit. I ain't gonna lie. She did. But that's what it takes. You got to do the work. I did the work. I took an L with my ex-wife because I lost my family. I went through the whole stressors of being in a divorce and everything else, right? I took that L. I had to own my mistakes. I had to own that. Even to this day on this podcast, I am owning that I, as a person who was a husband before, has made mistakes that has cost me my marriage on my half. Right? Because we can't focus about the other person's half and what they did and all this other stuff, even though we want to. We have to focus on what we did. Right? What did we do? What is our cause? What is our part that we played in the destruction of said relationship, said marriage, so forth and so forth. And as a man, I can sit here and be honest and say, in my first marriage, I played a part in the downfall of my marriage. I wasn't ready. Not that I wasn't ready to be married. I wasn't ready because I didn't love myself enough so that I can love her the proper way. When you love yourself, you give the other person who's ready to love you or say they're ready to love you, you give them the blueprint of how to love you because you're loving yourself. Nobody knows how to love you, right? Think about it. You're trying to get to know somebody. You're trying to, date somebody, and the goal is love. But in the midst of the conversations, the point of the real tough conversations is because you're trying to give them a blueprint to love you, right? But you can't give them that blueprint if you don't love yourself. You yourself have to write your own blueprint of how to love you. And then when you meet the right person, you give them that blueprint by still showing them, this is what it looks like when I love myself. That's why it's important to do the work. And when you do the work, you can tell somebody who's healed because they're giving you their blueprint on how to love them. It's exchanging of information. It's exchanging of energy. It's exchanging of a lot of different things that you have to do. That's why it's important to have these conversations. That's why it's important to, talk to people, be open and honest, regardless of what they're going to think about you. Stop letting people meet your representative. Let them meet the real you. The real you is actually pretty dope. But the problem is a lot of y'all don't like yourself. So you have to let them meet your representative because that's better than the person of who you really are. And that's cap. That's cap. Shout out to Lulu. That's a strong black woman right there. Shout out to Wolf. The homie. That nigga on his Boys to Men every Sunday in church. As we go. I ain't gonna do it because I can't sing, but you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to Wolf, Lulu, doing their thing. Thank you for tuning in. But a lot of you guys don't love yourself. So therefore, you can't give the blueprint to somebody else who wants to love you. A lot of you have missed out on the possible chance of having what you wanted because you simply didn't love yourself. Brittany says, how can people become aware that they don't like themselves? Brittany, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. You don't like yourself because you lie a lot, right? If you're ashamed of any part of your life that could be exposed or asked when it comes to dating, you don't love yourself. You have to heal. Loving yourself takes healing. If you're still dealing with trauma, if you're still dealing with stress, if you're still dealing with a lot of different things that are really holding you up on your individual path, you don't love yourself. You're not ready. You have to deal with these things in order to be able to deal with somebody else. But I can tell you one thing, when you do deal with said things in your life, you're able to see if the person you're dealing with has done the same kind of work that you have put in. Meaning, once you do the work for yourself and you get yourself together, you get yourself right, you take time, you go see to therapy, you go to life coaching, men and women, you go do things that help get you back to you and help deal with the things that you need to deal with, the trauma, the essay, anything else that comes across that you haven't dealt with, mommy issues, daddy issues, troubles with siblings, loss of father in the household, toxic, whatever issue that's holding you from being you is what you need to deal with. And when you deal with it and you do the work, you feel lighter, you feel better, you feel more in line with who you are. You're comfortable with yourself. You're not worried about what these people think. Just as an example, how I was able to tell you and the people, whoever's watching, that I, as a man, played a part in the demise of my marriage, my previous marriage. That's because I love myself. I had to get past that. There was a point in time that I didn't want to get past that. I didn't want to deal with that, right? I've had friends like Dr. Kim, right? Who's also in here. Shout out Dr. Kim. She helped me through one of those things. And she helped me by not being an echo chamber, by not co-signing my bullshit, by holding me accountable, by pushing me beyond my limits, helping me change my thought process. On top of that, I did go see a therapist, right? So I put in the work. I found out what I like. I found out what loves me. I found out what I like to do. I realized my mistakes. I realized what was my toxic traits. I confronted them head on because I knew I have a daughter who I have to set an example for. See, that's what a lot of you don't remember and forget. You have kids that you have to set an example for in most cases. If you can pull through your trials, tribulations, and the trauma, you can show them how they can survive when you're not here. So you have to fight, right? You have to fight. You have to be more in tune with trying to deal with your trauma, because most likely you have little kids who are watching you, and you know good and goddamn well that these kids are observant. You know how you know? Because when you were the same age, you observed a lot of shit that you probably weren't supposed to observe when you was a little kid. So if you know that, that means you need to put in the work. Corey says a lot of women don't really want to be a queen. Being a queen takes responsibility. They'd rather be princesses. Being a princess is much easier. And that comes with the mindset of being spoiled as a child. That's why it's important for parents to break that princess mentality early in life. It creates a standard of entitled women. Oh. And here goes Brittany. Brittany says, women can be queens and still need princess treatment from their man and from an emotional perception. Listen, both of you guys are right? However, I would have to side on Corey on this one, because you can't just come into queendom, right? Brittany, she calls her business and everything else queendom, and rightfully so. But Brittany had to put in work to become queendom. She didn't just wake up overnight and become queendom, right? She had to put in that work. And what does that work look like? She had to deal with, I would say, a lot of different things that prevented her from reaching that crown of queendom. The same thing we as men, especially black men, deal with in reaching that crown of being a king. The difference is a lot of women out here, modern women, for the most part, they love the princess treatment because, like Corey said, it makes them spoiled. But real women like Brittany, who work into the queendom, right? They're not trying to be spoiled. They do want to be spoiled, but they know that the spoiling comes from different levels. So again, both of you guys are right. Both of you guys are right, right? Both of you guys are right. That work needs to be put in. And men, just like women, need to understand that if you're a prince, if you're a queen or you're a princess, it takes work to level up. You can't just wake up and be God status. It doesn't work that way. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the work to be a monarch. You got to put in the work to be a patriarch of your own dimensions and families. And I'm not talking about society. I'm talking about within your little realm. You got to put in that work. Okay. So yes, dating for American men is still worth it. My prime example, my cousin Lulu, she's married to a good man. She's a good woman. They've both been tried and tested lately. My boy Corey, okay, he's married to a good woman. He's a good man. They've been tried and tested over their times, right? My girl Brittany, she's done the work, continuing to do the work, right? And she has earned the right to place that crown on her head. My boy Kenny Cash, he's done the work. He's been tested lately, right? And he's still with his girl or wife. So that's showing. And then, you know, a lot of people on here who, you know, like Mr. Davis said they've been in, you know, they found their queen and stuff like that. Joffrey up in here, good husband, right? Good person. A lot of people that are here are good people and they've done the work. Dr. Kim done the work. You know, she gonna find hers as far as her perfect person or her person. She gonna find hers pretty soon because she put in the work. It was hard. None of these people who are married, even after the marriage, it doesn't get easier. Every task is hard, but it only challenges you because the level up that you're going to requires you to operate at that level. So in order to operate at that level, you have to be challenged as if you're already on that level. Right? Kenny, send me the email, buddy. Send me an email. I'll get you on. I'll try to get you on. Send me that email. I'll try to get you on, buddy. Okay. There's a lot of good talks. I'm telling you guys, do the work. Love yourself before you can love somebody else. Okay. Don't look at what you've been through as a reason to not try. Okay. Don't look at what you've been through as a reason to not try. Right? Because at the end of the day, if nobody wants to be alone and everybody wants to be with somebody, all you have to do is start with you. You. And when you start with you, you open up the possibilities of somebody loving you who's not only worthy of loving you, deserves to love you, but they respect you. They see the work you put in. The work you've put in, they're going to have to, they're going to say it themselves. Hey, I see you putting in the work, King. They're going to address you as such. They're going to see the quality in you are. You don't have to say what kind of quality you are. All right. You don't have to say, I got this, I got that, I got quality. No. The quality you are will show in your everyday life of loving yourself, being in tune with yourself. You're operating at a different vibe. People are going to want to know, what the fuck? You're glowing, my guy. The confidence is there. You glowing. What's happening? Right? They want to be a part of that. They want to be a part of this. They want to know what's going on. Women, y'all see it. Even men will tell you, yo, you glowing, queen. What's happening? What you got going on? New facial thing? No, I'm just loving myself. Yeah. That's what it's about. Loving yourself. Creating that blueprint for yourself so you can give that blueprint to somebody else who's worthy of having that blueprint because they're willing to give you their blueprint. Right? This is good shit. These are the kind of conversations we need to have because it's time for the bickering to stop. We've seen it. We've seen it. The divisiveness in the dating realm. We've seen it, right? Especially in the Black community. But just the divisiveness in American dating, we've seen it. We're witnessing it right now, right? Women feel entitled, men are tired. And to be honest, on both sides of the coin, it's a small group of people that are barking the loudest. Real men know not all women think like that. Right? Not all women want the princess treatment and mentality and all this other stuff. And you got to pay my bills. We know, right? But they're the main ones talking that shit. Just like women know deep down inside, there are some good men out there. There are some good men out there. But you just got to find and do the work and dig. I'm gonna tell you something. What I did, I dated outside of my state. My current wife, I met in North Carolina, online. All right. It's just facts. Maybe you got to date outside your area. I mean, come on. You got Spirit and Frontier. You mean you can't catch a flight to go see this motherfucker? Really? Really? What Spirit and Frontier round trip? You spend more in groceries and you can't catch a flight to go see this motherfucker. You're probably saying, is it worth it? Well, that's the point of vetting the person before you make those kind of decisions. See, a real perfect commentator who was on a panel recently said, a lot of motherfuckers have fucked up their lives in relationships where they just like the person. I'm paraphrasing. And he was like, a lot of people have been ruined because of just liking a motherfucker. I like them, so I want to do this. I like them, so I want to do that. When in actuality, it's okay to like that motherfucker. It's just not okay to do the things that you were doing at the like level. Think about it. Men and women fall victim to this. They like the motherfucker. Now you got a baby buyer, so you can't get rid of this retarded motherfucker. Women, ooh, they like the motherfucker. Now they got a baby by him and they can't get rid of him. And this nigga is just causing all kinds of troubles. You know what I mean? All because you like a motherfucker. That's how a lot of these, within the past 2 decades, a lot of these single parent homes come from just liking a motherfucker. Okay? We're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it real. Okay? Liking a motherfucker is not healthy. My boy James Jameson Davis said, I still see a therapist while being in a relationship. It really helps. Of course, you should see a therapist. Black folk, especially men, stop acting like you can't see no therapist in today's time. You need an outlet. You know what my outlet is? Bowling, gaming, right? One thing allows me to be in the house. One thing allows me to be out the house. Basketball. Waiting on my boy Kenny Cash to fully heal so I can test him at his best. That nigga be hooping. Right? But you're supposed to see a therapist, right? You're supposed to see a therapist or a life coach because they're kind of one and the same in today's time. And I'm biased because I'm a life coach. You're supposed to see one of either or because you need an outlet. You need somebody to talk to that you don't know that is going to be, not biased and not an echo chamber and not co-sign your bullshit. Your friends will do that, right? Not my friends. I've had friends that, a lot of my friends don't co-sign the shit that I said when I was going through what I was going through. But for the most part, some of your friends go to co-sign your bullshit. Yeah, girl, he wasn't shit. Woo, 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 woo. Oh, man, you know that bitch crazy. Fuck that girl. Right? Both sides of the coins. So go see a therapist. Go see a life coach. You want to see like a general life coach. That's what I do. I'm a general life coach, certified in a lot of areas of life coaching. But the reason I chose general life coaching is because I wanted to specialize in helping you in life overall for men, right? Still getting more training, still doing more stuff, still, earning more certs and things like that, right? My wife's a therapist, certified. Been doing it for years. I've been doing mine for about 4 years. We, my wife and I, are tired of the bickering in the dating world. We want to bring relationships together. So we specialize in couple counseling, right? And we're very good at what we do. We've helped some couples on the brink to come back, from a lot of different things. Okay. A lot of different things. And we're proud of that. And we're going to continue to keep helping because what they don't tell you, they being the powers that be, is that they're afraid of you in a relationship. Yeah. Yeah. You in a relationship is more detrimental to the economy than you think. See, they practice and preached on the middle class. Oh, I'm in middle class. Yeah, in the middle. We're fourth middle class. But no, they're scared of that, especially in the Black community. They're scared of that. They're scared of that. They don't want the family dynamic. They don't want them. You know why? Cost more. You guys know much. You guys are able to create wealth. You're too close to being rich. You got the middle class and you got rich, right? You're too close. Think about it. The erosion of the middle class. Think about it. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Think about it. Think about how it works. All right? Look at how much they've tried to destroy the Black family. Look how much they've tried to destroy the family in general. They're profiting off you guys fighting each other. Think about it. If everybody was getting along in marriage, yeah, you get marriage prices and, wedding planners making a lot of money. But where's the profit in that? There's more profit in you being single. There's more profit in you staying and being alone. Right? They profit off that. They need you miserable. They need you single. You have less power when you're single. All this, I'm a boss. No, sweetie. Until you cut payroll on a large scale, you're not a boss. You're a person with a small business. which is not a bad thing. Okay, just call it what it is. Oh man, I'm a boss. I'm out here in these streets. I'm a boss. No, you're not, sir. You're not. Until you cut payroll for a large group of people on a regular basis, you're not a boss. You're a person with a small business, which again is not a bad thing because small businesses help keep the middle class going, help keeps the economy going. That's another thing they're afraid of. They don't want you to have small businesses. We can go into that. I'm not going to go into that. We're going to stick on topic. Okay. So dating for the American man, and I'm going to add the asterisk for the American woman, is still worth it. It's still worth it. It's still worth it. My man Kenny says women are learning this garbage from social media. Yeah. Listen, social media caters towards women, simps, and beta men. Okay. That's literally destroyed women, broken women, simps, and beta men. That's where social media really caters to. Vanity. Think about it. A lot of people who didn't have a voice because of the internet and social media now have a voice. And then they found other people who were equally as retarded as them. And they linked up in this groups of a group of retarded ass people who have the mind process of a 1-year-old. And they found their voice. Then they spread it to other people who are vulnerable. You know. So yeah, they learn this garbage from social media. Vanity. You're literally doing things for likes from people who don't know you. Think about it. A lot of women, all the way down to young girls, are doing stuff on social media for likes just to be famous from people that don't know them, that are most likely predators. 50% of them are bots. If you know anything about bots, bots are not real people, but just robot computers that are capable of replying and doing other things like causing mess, depending on what the bot is programmed for. I do IT as well. But they're doing it for likes. And it creates hysteria because unity, that's not what they want. They don't want unity. What's unity? You mean families and stuff? No, it's only for rich people. They can afford to have babies. It's only for rich people. Black woman, black man, let me tell you, they need you single. They need you single. American man, American woman, they need you not dating at all. They need you single. It's more money. More money. Okay? Once you realize that, you'll realize why it's more important for you to vet the people that you want to date. You realize why it's more important to do the work on yourself before you get into relationships. You realize why you have to take your time if a healthy relationship that leads to a healthy marriage is the end goal. You got to put in the work. Okay? And then when you put in the work and you find that person, you have to put in more work to keep that person. You have to adjust because like a job, it changes. It doesn't stay the same. Find your path within yourself. Don't be afraid of yourself. That's the battle. That's the battle. They know that. They know you have to fight yourself and fight your morals and fight the things that you've had to been through. They know that. They know that's the hardest thing to do. But let me give you a little secret. The hardest thing to do, listen to me. The hardest thing to do while you are breathing on this earth most likely gives you the results that you want. That's why it's hard. That's why it's hard. The hardest thing to do gives you the most results. Think about the hardest thing you've had to do in your life and the part that you overcame. It was hard, but you overcame. Now look at the results after you overcame. Not saying they're perfect, but wasn't it worth it? In most cases, wasn't it worth it to get away from that person that was causing you all that trauma? Don't you feel much freer now? Yeah, you picked them, but you're still alive. You got a second chance. You're free and single now. Try again. Start with yourself. Wasn't it better when you got away from that job that was stressing you out? Yeah, there's other jobs. Okay. But try again. Start with yourself. Learn how to love yourself so you can love somebody. Write your blueprint so you can give somebody else that blueprint. You're important. Stop thinking you're not. Your past doesn't define you. It only tells your story. It only defines you if you allow it to define you because you haven't dealt with it yet. Once you deal with it, it only tells your story of how you overcome. And this is how God works, or the universe works, depending on if you're science or religion. It needs you to overcome your story, your trials, your tribulations, so you can be an example to somebody who's looking at you at this very moment, who's going through the same thing. Oh, I ain't gonna preach. Yeah, somebody's looking at you right now, wanting to know how you're going to get past this situation that they think or they know that you're in. And they're looking at you, trying to see how they can do the same once you get over. That's how it works. And you're thinking, somebody's looking at me? Yeah. Somebody's looking at you, unbeknownst to you. They want to know how you're going to get out of the situation. They want to know how you're going to overcome. And you're thinking, well, who am I to look up to? You're exactly who the universe and or God says you are. You're exactly who the universe and God says you are, which is why they look up to you and they're looking at you and your situation to see how to get out of their own situation that's very similar. They need you to win. It ain't just your kids that's watching you. It's other people who are watching you that are secretly for you and looking to you for inspiration, but you don't know that. You don't realize that. You ever had somebody come up to you at your job and say, man, you just inspired me to do X, Y, and Z? You ever had somebody come up to you at your business or place of employment and just say, man, I'm inspired. I want to do this. I want to do that. Some random stranger pull you to the side, man, how you get that car, man? And they really seem inspired by what you're doing. That's because they're watching you. They need you to be an example. The universe and or God needs you to be an example so they can show other people if Brittany made it, if Corey made it, if Kenny made it, if Joffrey made it, if Dr. Kim made it, then you can make it too. That's why it's important to love yourself. That's why it's important for you to put the work in for yourself. Because the universe and or God is using you as an example of what it looks like when you continue to fight and you win. That's why. Okay. So love yourself. Still date. Dating is like the thrift store. It's a lot of used stuff out there, but don't mean it ain't good. And just like the thrift store, you got to dig a little bit for what you want. But I guarantee when you find it, it'll be something to keep. It'll be something to keep. Right? Love yourself so you can love somebody else properly. All right? Now, let's lighten the mood a little bit. Woo! Let's lighten the mood a little bit before we close out. Because I'm actually over 30 minutes. But I don't give a shit. Drake versus everybody. Who's watched this beef unfold online in the midst of this P. Diddy scuffle and everything else? You got Drake versus K-Dot. And just, what was it? A couple days ago, K-Dot bought J. Cole out on stage. It's starting to heat up. Who heard Drake's reply? Give me a shout out if you heard Drake's reply. Give me a shout out if you even know what this beef is about. Apparently, shocker, shocker, it's about a couple of things. All right. With Drake and A$AP Rocky, it's about Rihanna. Ooh. All right. With Drake and Rick Ross, nobody knows. Because Rick Ross has jumped his ass up in there and we don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. Calling him white boy, all kinds of shit. I don't know. Right? With Drake and Metro Boomin, it's over a track that Drake wasn't a part of. Right? That Metro Boomin didn't put him on his album, on one of the albums. It's over a track. Drake felt slighted. With K-Dot, them niggas never liked each other. Well, K-Dot kind of never liked Drake, I think. However, I want to show you the screen. And let me present this. Let me see if I can present this and get this going, because listen, it's a situation. It really is. And for those who don't know what this situation is, it's a situation, right? It really is. It's good for the culture. I would say it's good for the culture, right? But let me show you what happened when K-Dot bought him out. Let me see if I can get that video going. K-Dot bought out J. Cole. Go right quick. See if it'll give me some volume. All right, let me see. All right, so K-Dot bringing out J. Cole. And this is what's happening right now.
Bottom left. Everybody
K-Dot about to bring out J. Cole.
Shit. Keep them shits up. Y'all with me? Are y'all with me? Let's go, D. Hey, put a finger in the sky.
You tell him put one hand in the air. That's what it is. Uh-oh. Look who's appearing. That's J. Cole. Man. J. Cole brought out by K-Dot. Man. Crazy. Now, J. Cole did apologize, and a lot of people have been clowning him for apologizing. I think that's pretty harsh. You know, I think it's pretty harsh. I don't think he should have apologized, but I think if he did apologize, he should have apologized behind the scenes, because he's claimed he's the GOAT. He's claimed he's this. He's claimed he's that. What up, TT? Thank you for tuning in. He's claimed he's this. He's claimed he's that. But K-Dot didn't even really send shots at him. Drake responded. The beef is getting hot. Drake said, drop and give me 50. Brittany said, Drake is Mr. Steal Your Girl. Can he steal you, Brittany? Can Drake steal you? We ain't gonna tell you, man. Drake steal a lot of people. He ain't gonna take my girl, I'll tell you that. Fuck that. I have to shoot Drake in his kneecaps and ask him to moonwalk. And he ain't taking my girl. We ain't going for that. Anyway, this beef has gotten real. Not real street, but hip hop. The bars are flowing. Shots is fired. K-Dot has been sending subliminals this whole time, right? And he finally responded with "Drop and Give Me 50." Right? Well, I think it's good for hip hop. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. What do y'all think is going on? And do you think this beef, rap war, is good for hip hop? I think it's good for hip hop. When's the last time we see the good battle? Drake roasted Meek Mills, right? Roasted Meek Mills. Meek Mills lost that battle, right? Drake and Pusha T. I think Drake lost that battle for me. He lost that battle. But his handlers, i.e. being the Houston fam, shout out to the Houston fam, his handlers kept him on the leash because he was really about to go at it. And I think with this Drake and K-Dot beef, that they're going to let him, give him a little leeway. You know, they're keeping the eye on it, you know, but they're giving him a little leeway on this K-Dot, right? So, who y'all got? Who y'all got in this beef? I got K-Dot, but I don't think it's going to be a wash with Drake. I'm sorry. Drake is also my guy. J. Cole, he's also my guy. What they didn't mention, which I'm surprised, I'm not surprised, they didn't mention, K-Dot didn't mention Big Crit. And I think because, shout out to Big Crit, Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, by the way. Shout out to Big Crit. But I think because they didn't mention Big Crit is because K-Dot doesn't have a real problem with Big Crit. But I had a problem when Drake and Cole was saying that the big three was only K-Dot, Cole, and Kendrick. And I'm like, what about Big Crit? Okay. Oh, you say he can't handle Ken in the ring at all? Girl, Drake been lifting weights. You ain't see Drake lately? He been lifting weights. Okay. Him and Diddy. Him and Cole fought Diddy. Notice I say him and Cole didn't fight off Diddy. But him and Cole fought Diddy. Okay. I think, well, no. Actually, Diddy snuffed Drake at a party. Sucker punch, right? But I think one up on 101. I think Drake could handle Diddy 1-on-1. I think that's what I think. I don't know. But I don't know about, how do y'all feel about Cole apologizing though? This man is apologizing during a beef. And he just sends some shots, and it was some good shots. I downloaded and purchased 7-Minute Drill, right? But again, I think he apologized because he realized it wasn't his beef, right? It wasn't his beef. Oh, we lost camera. All right, it's all good. Anyway, that's it for my show. I'm gonna go charge this camera. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Now you don't see me, but I want you to stay tuned for the outro because very special outro coming up. Be sure to tune in next Friday at 8 o'clock Central. Okay? We're going to get it in. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry for the camera mishap, but don't worry about it. We're going to get it in. If any artist is out there or you guys know any artists that would like their song on the outro, please take note of the outro. Okay, definitely hit me up in the email and we'll get it going because I want to support independent artists because that's what I do, right? That's what I do. And no camera is going to stop me from doing that. You guys have been great. This has been a wonderful talk. Thank you. Thank you for watching the show. Stay tuned for the outro. I really want you to check the outro, see what it's like. Y'all holler at me next time. I'm out.
I'm going baseline, highlights. Can't slow me down, I'm too busy living my life. I put my face on the clock because it's my time. Rapper think he's seeing me, he better get his mind right. I'm going baseline, highlights. I got my grind right now, I got my shine right. I'm with my team and I'm feeling like it's my night. Better cuff your girl cause she looking like type. Okay, my fingers, itching for that paper. Up before the sunrise, nigga, I can't wait on flavors. Go and hit my knees, say a prayer to my maker. Look up in the mirror, check, I'm sharp as the razor. I'm riding to my anthem, I just gotta get it. Them mucks on my mind.